two, one. Right, nice and live. Right. Okay. Yes, shalom. This is the ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. Today's class is the Monday. Sorry, the Monday history class, usually done by Officer Karafia, but I'm just doing it for this week. Myself, Captain of 10,000 Karafia. So for those of you that are new to class, the ISUPK since 1969 has been teaching the truth according to the Bible that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the real Israelites, are the real Jews, the people that you read about in the Bible, the same people that heard the voice of God and lived, the same people that God made walk through the Red Sea. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from those people right there. So that's what we teach. Now, for those of you that are new to class, especially in England, we do have a school. The address is 394 Lodge Road, postcode B18 5PW. I'll say that one more time. The address is 394 Lodge Road, postcode B18 5PW, and the school is in the city of Birmingham. And from this school, we teach classes 3 times in the week. You know what I mean? So we have the Monday class, which is today, is the history class. Wednesday class, law class. Thursday class is the scripture breakdown class. So you know what I mean, and that's what we got going on. Oh, also we have the Tuesday brotherhood class, but that is not done in the school. That is done online. You can check that class on YouTube, ISUPK United Kingdom, Facebook, ISUPK United Kingdom as well. Also, we got the Friday language class, not done in the school, by Officer of 100 Shamgar. You know what I mean? So, and the Brotherhood class is done by Officer of 50 to Zapawan. So we got classes going on 5 days a week, but 3 of the classes in the week are done at the school at 394 Lodge Road. So you can check us out on Facebook, ISUPK United Kingdom, YouTube, ISUPK United Kingdom, Instagram, ISUPK underscore UK. You can check us out on TikTok as well, ISUPK UK, and also on Google My Business, where it will give you the directions for the school as well, by a car, train, and by foot or by bike. So there's no excuse if you're in England not to be here. There's no excuse. All right then. So with that being said, this is the history class. But if you do have any questions online, feel free to type them in. Or if any of the Akim got any questions in the class, just show me, raise your hand, say Salakia, and we'll get to your question too as well. All right, so in today's history class, we're going to get into a historical event in the Bible called the Tower of Babel. So we're going to show you in the Bible first, then in history, that the Tower of Babel is not only exclusive to the Bible, and that many nations in their history have a similar account, not because the Bible's robbed it from them or they have stolen it from the Bible. It's just because it happened. Just like 9/11, all over the earth, people will have 9/11 in their history. Why? Because it is a big historical event. It doesn't mean I've stole the story from you or I wrote it down first. Everyone writes about it because it was a big thing in the history of mankind. So we're going to show you today about the Tower of Babel. So if anyone could give me Genesis 10 and 1.
Slacky. The book of Genesis 10 verse 1. Now there were at the gen now these are the generation of the sons of Noah.
Read on.
Slacky, sorry.
No, no.
Now these are the generation of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were born sons were born after the flood.
Okay, so we're just going to read Genesis 10 and 1 for now. So, of course, reading a Bible, there was a flood and it covered the whole earth. Now, in its context, the flood it doesn't mean the whole earth. It just means where mankind lived. Which, if you read in Genesis 8, it lets you know that wherever the breath of life was, that's where the flood was. So it's not literally the whole earth, just meaning where mankind was, that's where God flooded out. Is basically that's the point of it. But now, after the flood, Noah, who's a descendant of Adam, what I mean, him, his sons, and their wives, they survived. Why? Because the Lord told Noah to build an ark. So now, once the flood ended, what I mean, and then the waters came off the earth, Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, they had sons. And what I mean, that happened after the flood. So what happened? Mankind began to repopulate the earth, man. I mean, after the flood. So in your own time, you can read Genesis 10 and it breaks down the table of nations as what people like to name it. So let's get to Genesis 11 and 1.
Okay. The book of Genesis 11 verse 1. And the whole earth was one language and one speech.
Read on.
And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelled there.
All right. So now, after the flood, they've had kids and descendants, and they're starting to multiply on the face of the earth. Now, what happened? They found a plain. A plain is a nice flat ground of land. So along the journey after the flood, they found a plain, and with the Shinar, if you look it up on a biblical map, that is modern day Iraq. So meaning after the flood, I mean in the land of what we will call today Iraq, they found a plain, meaning a nice flat ground of land. Reader.
Slacky. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly. And they had bricks for mortars, and slime had they for mortar.
Right. So now what happened? So now on this plain, this nice flat ground of land, they started to what? They started to make things, man. Build houses. I mean, they started to build an empire on this plain of land that they found, which they believed was good enough to start to build their empire. Read on.
Slacky. And they said, sorry, Slacky. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city, and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
So now, although they found this nice a plain of land, they said, let's build a tower that may reach unto a heaven, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Meaning what? They knew what they was doing. It was wrong. They knew that, listen, we need to do this fast, or unless we'll be scattered upon the face of the whole earth. So let me ask you, how did they know that they will be scattered upon the face of the whole earth? How did
Salaki,
they
sir.
know this? Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, I've read I cannot quote it where it is right now, but I can quote it is that God never does something without letting his prophets tell the people. So using that analogy, I must say a prophet told them or warned them about what they was doing.
Okay, what he's saying is good, but here it doesn't say that. What he's saying is true. Many times in the Bible, a prophet does warn the people. You are absolutely right. But in Genesis 11 and 4, it doesn't it doesn't say that. So I'll ask the question again. How did they know what they was doing? It was wrong. Now think about the history. Adam, Seth, and Noah, his sons. Yeah, Ira.
Yeah, let me add it again. Then it probably will be the lost earth.
That's true, but it's not right here. Listen, none of your answers are wrong in the Bible, but right here, it doesn't say that.
Salaki, sir.
Yeah,
May I
go
have
ahead.
it? Is it that they were guided by the spiritual Satan?
No, not right here. Okay, now think about what happened before. What happened before they found this plane of land,
Hmm.
and that would let you know that they know what they're doing is wrong. Okay, I'll give you a hint. The flood. Why did the flood happen?
The flood happened because mankind was everything on the earth was contaminated with sinfully.
It was sinful, yes. But okay, I'll just give it for time's sake. Nations were mixing, man. The sons of God came unto the daughters of men. Now remember now, the only person to survive was a Noah, who was a perfect in his generations, meaning with Noah, he didn't mix with anybody else. And of course, his sons, they would have learned the law from him. So this is how they know it's wrong because of the flood that happened. They know that they're not meant to be all one. God wants nations divided. They know this. That's why they're saying, let us make this quick, lest we be scattered all over the face of the earth. Meaning they know that, listen, if we don't make that a tower, get up to heaven and fight against the Lord's going to scatter us everywhere. Meaning they knew why? Because it happened already, man. The earth, everyone on the earth died except one man and his three sons and their wives. Why? For mixing, for not being separated. So they know, listen, we don't do this quick. We're going to be scattered all over the earth. The Lord's going to make sure He divides us, if everyone understands.
Salaki.
Yeah,
Cancer, I do.
That makes sense, yeah.
yeah. So that's how they know because it's already happened. And of course, you know, with the Noah being their granddad or greater granddad, the Bible doesn't say how many generations, but they knew that, listen, that flood, the Lord did it because why? People were mixing, man. So they know what the Lord wants. The Lord wants division. But they've come together, found this nice plain of land, and like, you know what, come on, let's get to work. Then now they're like, look, we need to fight against the Lord quick. We need to make this tower real fast. Lest the Lord, He will divide us. Reader.
Salaki. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men build.
And there you go. That's how they knew it was wrong. But what happened? So in verse 5, when it says the Lord came down, God did not come down. Many times in the Bible, God sends angels who represent Him. They're in the position of the Lord, meaning what? You mean the Lord sends them down. So the Lord didn't directly come off His throne to look at this a tower, meaning angels gave a report. The angels like, what are they doing, man? They're building a tower. They believe they're going to fight you, Lord, man. They believe, they're going to build a tower so high that they're going to fight you. Read on.
Slackish. Verse 6. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they began to do, and
All
no,
right.
nothing will be restored. Sorry.
Restrain from them.
Sorry,
So,
Slacky.
no sweat. So now the angel's saying, listen, man, the people are one. So in the angel's report, it's saying, look, man, the people are one, um, and they have all one language, meaning what? They're unified, man, because they're one in this plane of Shinar. They speak the same language, and this they begin to do, meaning what? When mankind is unified, they somehow believe they can fight against the Lord. Just like now, many nations on this earth are unified, and what did they think? They can fight against the Lord, man. They believe, we're unified, we share all of our ideas, we build, anti-matter guns, all these weapons. And even right now, man believes they can fight against the Lord because they're unified. They believe, if we all work as one, we can fight God. So that same concept hasn't changed. People had it back then, and of course, in 2000 and the end of 21 soon, people still have that same mentality. Read on.
Slaki.
Yep.
And sorry, verse 6. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they began to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
Yeah, man. So Lord saying, listen, nothing is restrained from them. Meaning, anything that comes into their mind, they want to do it. There's nothing that holds them back. Why? Because they're all unified, and then which they imagine to do. So now, okay, does this mean they would literally make a tower up to heaven and literally get up to heaven and fight against the Lord?
No.
But what is in their mind?
As it is stated, they want to be unified and stay as one group. They don't want to
There
be
you
scattered
go.
anywhere.
There you go. So when the people are one, all their brains come together and go, you know what, we need to fight against the Lord. I mean, anything that is in their mind, they just do it. Because they're all one, they'll get help from this nation, they'll reach out to that nation, and they all come together as one, thinking they can achieve something. So what's the Lord saying? Listen, man, they're all one, and it's like there's nothing that they won't do. So let's find out what the Lord did. Read on.
Verse 7. Go to, let us go down there, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech.
There, so the Lord, He knew how to handle it, man. There was a situation, and the Lord knew how to handle it. And what did He do? He confused their languages, man. To confound just means to confuse. So He confused all their languages. Because remember, in verse 1, what did it say? They was all of one language. So how the Lord divided up man is by what? Confounding their languages, man. Dividing them. If one nation speaks one language and another nation speaks another language, they're not going to understand each other. And naturally, what are they going to do? Separate. One nation going to go live over here with their kindred who speak the same language as them. Another nation's gonna go over, somewhere else with their people. Why? Because they understand that language. So that's how the Lord ended it. Uh, so I can read on.
So,
Slacky.
like I said, for me,
Yeah, go ahead.
I remember once you break it down to me that this didn't happen like right away, right?
Yes, yes.
So, if when I'm imagine, I have to imagine like with time they started to like creating their own slangs, and bit by bit the confounding would be like I'm not agreeing with whatever you say.
Okay, I'll make it a bit
Uh,
more easier. Now, of course, this didn't happen over one day. It's like, okay, I'll use England as an example. In England, an Englishman, you mean we speak the same language? But even in England, there's different dialects of English. There's Black English where we use certain terms. There's, you mean people that live in Wales, their English is not like ours. You got people that live up in the Merseyside, you can't understand them, but they speak English. How they pronounce the words and that, you know what I mean, is different from how someone down in Birmingham would. So the people that have one language and one speech, but what? It's just different dialects of it. Then, of course, as generations go on, it gets worse. People add on more, and then over time, what happens? You have another language. If that makes sense.
Answer. So it would be a spirit who will enforce that to happen kind of faster than it would normally.
That's right. Yes. So the angel of the Lord, he's dividing them. So one nation over there, over time, they're coming up with their language, how they pronounce things, what they use to describe things, their like breakdown of language, and eventually over time, what happens? People start getting their own languages.
But they wasn't kind of smart because they know what's coming. They know what they don't want. How the hell you let them fight you like that?
Well, they knew because in a verse 4 they said, "Lest we be scattered abroad." So they,
Mm.
if we don't do it in time, so all right, this was their plan. We got this land, make the tower quick, fight the Lord, beat the Lord, then we can say they as one. Of course, that was in their mind, but
Mm.
it wasn't going to happen anyway. We,
Anyway.
yeah, we already that it wasn't going to happen. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
In,
yeah.
in their innocency, I'm using that word loosely. That's what they believe that it's going to happen. We're going to make the tower quick, make them roots quick, try and make the tower higher and higher. But of
Mhm.
course, they didn't stand a chance anyway. There was
But
nowhere near to where the Most High is. It wasn't going to happen.
but still, it was such a big event because if you hear it like this, it wasn't something like very wow, wow, wow. But still, it was something very memorable because Moses, how many years after? I think thousands of years after Moses know about the story.
Absolutely. And there's a reason why. He knows this story. Why? Because the Bible is breaking down the beginning. Now, of course, someone who is talking about the beginning, someone may ask you, well, how does mankind have so many different languages? The Bible is explaining
That's
it.
right.
So
That's right.
that's why this had to be written down because it's obviously in the in the history of mankind, it's a big thing, and it answers the question of why do we have different languages?
That's
So
right.
so now the Lord, He's explaining why these things happen, and he's giving the events of what happened in the
Mm.
history of man, basically.
That's right, sir. That's right.
All right,
Good class. Good class.
no sweater. Let's read on.
So, like, yeah, may I ask a question, sir?
Yeah, cool.
You know that God does not allow people to be mixing, right?
Yeah.
So why, when these people want to stay by themselves, then God disapprove of it? Is it because of the idea that they had?
Well, okay. Um, the whole idea of the God is that man populates the earth. So meaning in Genesis, in a few chapters before, he said to what? Repopulate the earth. Meaning what? Go over the earth, have kids, you know what I mean? Get France, get Italy, you know what I mean? Get land. So if they're all in one place, just all saying, you know what, we'll just sit day here, then that's not the plan of the Lord.
Okay,
The Lord wants man everywhere. This earth is meant to be populated by man, and there's nothing wrong with them.
that's true. But
I mean,
at the same sorry, at the same state, he wanted the children of Israel not to mix with any other nation. That's what I'm
of,
trying to.
of course, absolutely. Meaning what? On this earth, there's loads of land masses, and of course, the Lord wants man to, you know what I mean, populate the earth. But in your patch of land, you stay with your people. So yes, you know what I mean. So on your land, you repopulate. You have that. That's the plan. But of course, in China, everyone would have one language, one speech, and there they was like, listen, we're gonna stay here, man. And here we're gonna fight the Lord because if we don't win against the Lord, we're gonna be scattered all over the earth. Meaning what? Even they knew the law of the Lord that what? Populate the earth, meaning go all over the globe, man. Populate it. You know what I mean? Some of your descendants go to Italy, go to France, go to Russia. You know what I mean? Hamites in Africa, so you know mean handle Africa. That is how it's meant to be. But they was in one place going, nah, we're gonna stay here. And we're gonna fight the Lord so that we don't go anywhere else. Which is what the Bible says.
Salak, sir.
Yeah,
Would you say they was kind of trying to make like a America?
absolutely. They're trying to make a united nations right there, man. Like, listen, all of us are here. We're gonna stay here. And of course, in their wickedness, they believed they was gonna beat the Lord. In their
Mm.
wickedness, they believe that, you know what? I know the Lord wants us to populate the earth, but nah, we're gonna stay here and do what we want to do. And of course, the Lord handled that by dividing their languages.
Yeah.
No sweat. Let's read on.
Like verse 8. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city.
There, so that place of Shinar, once the once every nation had their language, they left off. Meaning they was there. Then what happened? They don't understand each other, and one nation leaves. Like, you know what? I'm going to India, man. You know, Africa.
Yeah.
I'm saying, how am I to go to Africa? You know, yeah, building this city. You know what, now, man? Let's just go here. One nation leaves, another nation leaves, and the Lord made that happen from what? Confounding their languages to where they
Mm.
want to be with their people and they can understand their people and build a nation with their people. And then now they're doing what the Lord wanted, which was to populate the earth, man. They're going to go into other
Mm.
lands, other continents, and they're going to do what the Lord wanted them to do.
Salak, the Lord is very ironic with his doings.
There you go, man. Like the best way to look at this is the Lord is a mastermind. The Lord,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Of course, the Bible says what it says, but the Lord could have said, you know, brimstone and fire on in the tower. A voice from heaven said, you know, go all over the earth. But now, he done the easiest thing, which was just to confound their languages, so that
Mm.
basically over time, naturally, they would go. They wasn't
They
forced.
did it themselves again.
Yeah, over time, they're just gonna go because they don't understand each other, and they're gonna go and be with their people, and people that they understand. Read on.
Verse 9. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did therefore confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
And there you go. So in the Bible, it's telling you it was called a Babel because the Lord confounded their languages, and because of that, mankind was scattered all over the earth. Read on.
Oh, sorry, it's lucky. These are the generation of Shem. Shem was 100 year old, begotten Arphaxad 2 years after the flood.
Okay, no sweat. We'll stop it there. That's going into the generations before Abraham comes on the scene. So it's just breaking it down. But this is the initial start of the division of nations of mankind. So we got some history here, and just to show you that what is in the Bible is something many nations. You know what I mean? So I'm going to get to it in a second. So this is a bit of history right here. So, of course, they call it a myth because many historians don't believe in the Bible. Some do, some don't. But we're going to show you that what is written of in the Bible regarding the Tower of Babel, that many nations have it in their history too. So I'm going to screen share and we'll see if this is readable. If not, I will read it. Right? All right. Is that visible?
No. I'm sure we can about
Okay.
that.
No sweat. I'll zoom in on that a bit more. How about
Hold on, let me see if I widen the screen. I can see it clear. All I can see is just some blurry words. Hold on, let me see me
okay?
increase my screen. Okay, yeah. I expand the screen, can see it now. Okay, the Sumerian and Assyrian parallel. There is a Sumerian myth similar to that of the Tower of Babel called Enmark, Enmarka and the Lord of Arata, where Enmarka of Europe is built on a massive ziggurat, ziggurata,
Yeah. In
ziggurat
Europe.
in Erod and demand a tribute of precious materials from Asarat
Okay.
for its construction.
So now this is Sumerian
Expand
history.
the screen.
So you know what I mean. In the Wikipedia, they call this a myth. Now, of course, over time, in some nations, facts over time become myths. Why? Because people add on to it. So in Sumeria, they have a similar, a parallel to what the Bible's saying about the Tower of Babel. But you know what I mean. This is a Enmakar and the Lord. I believe these are Sumerian gods or what they believe are gods. And when it says is building a massive a ziggurat, a ziggurat is an equivalent to a Egyptian a, a pyramid. So in the Middle East, that was what they used to make. You know what I mean? And in Eridu, you can look it up. That is in Iraq. So talking about they're building a ziggurat in the Bible is calls it a tower. In Sumerian history, they called it a ziggurat. which is your equivalent to a Egyptian a pyramid. Read on.
So sorry, from Arata for its construction. At one point, reciting an incantation in imploring the god of Enki to restore our in karma translation to disrupt.
I'm also
No,
it's what I'll read from my end. Right.
yeah.
All right. Incantation, imploring the god Enki to restore, or in Kramer's translation, to disrupt the linguistic unity of the inhabited origin. So that is similar. Let me highlight that part there. That is similar to what the Bible and the Tower of Babel, right there, meaning that they were building this big ziggurat, and that Sumerian fake god, he disrupted the inhabitants' languages. Linguistic unity means what? They unified by one language, is what it's saying. Read on. Named as Shabur, Hamzi, Sahuma, Uriki, or Akkad, which is in the Bible as well, and the Martulan, the whole universe, the well guarded people, may they all address Enil together in a single language. So, just like the biblical account, at one point in time, all nations on the earth had one language, and then, but of course, their account isn't the Bible account. Their account was wrong, of course. But the point being is, even they acknowledge that at one point in time, all nations did speak one language, and they was building something. That's what you can use. And in addition, a Assyrian myth dating to the 8th century BC during the Neo-Assyrian Empire, 911 to 605 BC, bears a number of similarities to the later written biblical story. Now, of course, the person that wrote this, if you notice, it says citation it needed, meaning what? They got to back that up. Because what they're saying is that the Bible came after this, so they would need to prove where they got that from. So, of course, the Bible is the origin of history. But the point being is, all these nations have a similar account, not not because mean they stole from us or we stole from them. It's because it was a big historical event. So let's get some more Greek and Roman parallels. So in Greek mythology, much of which was adopted by the Romans, there is a myth referred to as the Gigantomachy, the battle fought between giants and the Olympian gods for supremacy of the cosmos. In Ovid's telling of the myth, the giants attempted to reach God in heaven by stacking mountains, but are repelled by Jupiter's thunderbolts. A.S. Klein translates metamorphosis. So, of course, this one's well off from the Bible account. But what is the point that these giants tried to make something to go up to heaven and fight against God? So, in the Greek and Roman story, these were giants that were stacking mountains on each other. You know what I mean? And that's the point that is being made. So, all what you're noticing is many nations have a base of one point in time, mankind had one language, and they don't anymore. So let's skip down to Mexico. Various traditions similar to that of the Tower of Babel are found in Central America. Some writers connected to the great pyramid of Cholula to the Tower of Babel. The Dominican friar Diego Duran, 1537 to 1588, reported hearing an account about a pyramid from 100-year-old priest of Cholula shortly after the conquest of Mexico. He wrote that he was told when the light of the sun first appeared upon the land, giants appeared and set off in a search of the sun. Not finding it, they built a tower to reach the sky, and angered God of the heavens called upon the inhabitants of the sky, who destroyed the tower and scattered its inhabitants. So even in Mexico, when the Spaniards and the conquistadors came, in pagan Mexican history, of course, we know Mexicans are from the tribe of Issachar, but like all of us, in our wickedness, we adopted heathenistic ways, and many of and some of our biblical history, we use some a pagan fairy tales along with it. But the point being is, they acknowledged that of a tower of a Babel, and God was angered and scattered its inhabitants. That's one story that they found in Mexico. Let's get another one. Another story attributed by the native historian Fernando de Alva Cortez, 1565 to 1648, to the ancient Toltecs, states that after men had multiplied following a great deluge, what's a deluge? A flood. They erected a tall Zekali or tower to preserve themselves in the event of a second deluge. However, their languages were confounded and they went to separate parts of the earth, just like the Bible gives. Let's get to Arizona, another state in America. Still another story attributed to Holo, who Ayam, the people, holds that Montezuma escaped a great flood, then became wicked and attempted to build a house reaching to heaven, but the great spirit destroyed it with thunderbolts. So of course, the thunderbolt part, you know me, in Arizona, that was added on. But the point being is, there was a tower, and mankind broke up from it, and the Lord was angry with it. That's that's the point there. And we're not going to read all of these accounts because, as you can see, there is so many confirming the history of the Bible. So among the Cherokees in America, the tribe of Gad in Nepal, Nepal is by India. You know what I mean? It's similar in Botswana in Africa. They have a similar story to the Bible in the Tower of Babel, and then it goes into other folklore. So meaning now it's just generalizing many empires. So I'll just skim through these. So among the Ashanti people in West Africa, they have a similar story. In the Congos, people have the same story. In Tanzania, in Africa, people have the same story. In Akabi, I believe that is northeast India. Among the Kuki people in India, they have a story. The Assam people, that is, I believe that is Africa, but don't quote me on that. The Karen people, that's by China in Tibet, Tibet. The Myanmar people, that's by Burma, by Thailand. Pagoda, that's near north of China. Kareli people, thereby Burma, which is near Thailand. So what's the point here that many nations, it's okay, all right, we get rid of screen share, many nations have a similar account of the Bible, especially the Tower of Babel. So let me ask you a question. Does that mean the Bible stole the story from them?
No.
So,
Salaki.
Then does it mean
The only reason why I can come up with a conclusion that when great things like that happen, everybody want to say they are to put themselves as a part of it.
give that a hand? It doesn't mean, well, the Bible stole this from them. It doesn't mean that. It's a big event. All nations are going to have it in their history, just like September the 11th. It happened in America, yes, but that event shocked the world. That what? That's going to be in everyone's history. In England, September 11th, there's a 1 minute a silence people have. It didn't happen in England, but what happened? The event was so big that what? It reached England and people go, you know what? We're going to write that down.
Salaki, sir. Just
Yeah,
like the story with Samson, every nation have a piece of it and turn it their way.
there you go. It's a big thing. And like many things in history, when something big happens, either this happens, people want a part of it, or people write it down because it affected mankind that bad that they gotta write about it. So it's either one or those. It's either one of those two things. All right, let's get
so like you
Deuteronomy.
said,
Yeah, good.
and on top of it, it's also their history. So,
There you go. No, what you said there was heavy. That is a part of their history. Their ancestors were involved in it.
mm,
So, you know what I mean? So, even on Wikipedia, which is a very basic source of history, these stories, well, they're not stories. I want to say this history, because a story is something made up. This history is found among many nations, many tribes. So, even in India, you find like an ancient tribe that live among themselves, and they basically have a similar history in regards to the Tower of Babel. Why? Because it happened. All right, let's get Deuteronomy the 32. Um, 32, 1 second. 32 and let's get 32 and 8.
Salaki, sir.
No sweat.
32 verse 8. 32 verse 8. Okay. So Deuteronomy 32 verse 8. When the Most High divided the nation their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the boundaries of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
There you go, man. So now this lets you know that the Most High He divided nations, man. Meaning that's the plan of the Most High to divide nations, to keep Indians in India, to keep the Japanese in Japan, to keep, you know what I mean, the Egyptians in Africa, to keep, you know what I mean, wherever a nation is meant to be. That's where the Lord wanted them. Um, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, your inheritance in this context is your land. That that's what you inherit, and your dad passed it down to you. Mean this is your land. So every nation has their inheritance. Every nation has land, and that's how the Most High wanted it. That's what made the Tower of Babel so wrong, because they knew they were meant to populate the earth. They knew they was meant to divide. The Most High wants nations to have land and be divided, man. There won't need to be no war over land if people have their land and accept it, man. And there's do what the Lord wanted. Um, when He separated the sons of Adam, so meaning the sons of Adam, man. Now, of course, with Noah, he's a descendant of Adam and his sons. So, of course, all of us would be sons of Adam in that context.
That's right.
But now, again, we are separated. How did the Lord separate us? By landmass, man, by seas, by oceans. Meaning, that a river or that ocean separates one piece of land from another, man. He did it why? So that people know, listen, this is my land, this is yours. You stay over there, you stay over here. We can do the business, but you can't come over on this land. You can pass by this land if you want to get somewhere, but you can't inhabit this land because it's ours. That is the plan of the Most High, to divide nations, not to keep them all together. Let's get the last bit. And He set the bounds according to the people. So, meaning what? Every nation has boundaries, man. That's what bounds are. Meaning, in your country or in your landmass, you have bounds, which is normal. England and Wales have boundaries. You're on the M5, then what happens? You'll see a sign saying, "Welcome to Wales." Meaning what? Now you were in the boundary of Wales, man. If you're driven to Scotland, you'll find that too. You'll be on the got it M68 or something like that. Then what happens? You see that flag with the blue and the yellow on it. Then it goes, "Welcome to Scotland." That's now you're in their bounds. You're here, man. It's like in Rotterdam and Amsterdam. You drive long enough, you will see a sign saying, "Welcome to Amsterdam." Am I wrong?
No, that's right, sir.
There you go. Showing you that now you were in the boundaries of Amsterdam, man. And likewise, you drive to Rotterdam, you're going to see, "Welcome to Rotterdam," letting you know now you are in the bounds of Rotterdam. And now the Lord on this earth, He set boundaries. He made Indians have, their land, what they have. He made, the sons of Ham have Africa. He made, many nations have their lands and their boundaries, meaning that's as far as they go. Showing you that's what the Lord always wanted. Nations populating the earth and having boundaries, meaning don't go any further than that. You mean that's going to be where your border ends? Read on.
Okay, verse 9. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
So, meaning the Lord set the earth in a way where every nation has their land after we have ours. So, meaning the plan of the Lord was for His people. He mapped out how much land we need, then gave all the nations their land and their boundaries, because we are His the people. Is the point of that? But the point being made is the Lord is showing you that mankind should not be together. His plan is to separate all nations, man. All
That's
nations.
right.
All right. I'm going to read a bit more history, then we'll get back in the Bible. Let's screen share with you 1 second. Second. It's only before. All right, then. I got it. Screen sharing. So I know this writing can be very fine, so I'll read it, but anyone can't see it. All right. So this is from the New World Encyclopedia. Now, this is what you don't understand. Does anyone know why there is a New World Encyclopedia?
My God, sir.
Allah, sir.
I
All
have
right.
so much
There,
that and I don't even know the main reason why we are there.
I'm sorry, Mausa. You say that one more time.
Sir, Mr. Back home in Jamaica, we have the whole batch of the encyclopedia, and I don't even know why the reason why we have there.
Okay, you close, but all right. This is why, because of the internet and Illuminati nuts and conspiracy theorists, they had to make a New World Encyclopedia, where meaning all the lies and all the mythology, they can get rid of it and just deal with facts, or what is written, because not saying information gets old, because that's a lie, but over time some people add on myth to old information. So that's why there's a New World Encyclopedia where they believe they're going to start from scratch, because you got so many people that believe in things that Alex Jones says, and they tried to make it history. So that's why you got a New World Encyclopedia. That is researchable information as well. All right, so this is the Tower of Babel in the New World Encyclopedia. So I'll read through some of this. According to Dr. Livingstone, the Africans who he met living near Lake Ngami in 1879 had such a tradition, but the builders' heads getting cracked by the falling of the scaffolding. James George Fraser has identified Livingstone's account with a tale found in the Lozi mythology, wherein the wicked men built a tower of mass to pursue the creator god Nyambi, who has fled to heaven on a spider's web, but the men perished when the mass collapsed. So now, in Africa, they have a similar history to the Tower of Babel, but instead of just the languages being divided and they just leave, they believe their pagan god. He made it crack their heads. So all the scaffolding and all what they used in the building, all of it fell on them. And so of course they're off with the whole spider's web and all the other stuff. Just read on. He further relates similar tales of the Ashanti that substitute a pile of porridge epistles for the mass. Fraser moreover cites such legends found among the Congo peoples, as well in Tanzania, where the men stack poles of trees in a failed attempt to reach the moon. So in Tanzania, which is in Africa as well, it's not to heaven for the Most High, but it's the moon. So what you find out is many people have a story of it, but it varies. So now you don't want to get too involved in the variations. You want to get involved to the focal points, and the focal point is they believe that an event happened where they were trying to fight against God, and God scattered them. That's what you want. Don't worry about the variations or where they went off. The point being is they believe in an event which led to mankind's languages being changed. That's what you want.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Lucky, sir.
Yeah.
How is it that one story have so much different tales, yet still there's another tales to it that most people, this, as I said, this one climb up on a spider web into heaven. This one pile mountains on top of each other to go. So why is it then that there's another tale that that another prophet jump off into heaven?
Okay, the reason why it's like now, of course, at first you have it, but then what happens? Someone adds on to it, man. Then
Yeah.
then in another generation, someone adds on to it even more.
So,
Then
but
afterwards,
one, if the point I'm trying to make it, why most of them the story is that they're building something to go to heaven, but the other one is that he's jumping off into heaven. So where is heaven for them really?
well, yeah. What you asked there, that is a very a good point. So, of course, that's the understanding that they have. Of course, I mean their one is way off. So, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Me, I'm a busy man, but you know what I mean. If you would like, you can go into their history and see their concept or the point they're trying to make. But you know what I mean. Yes, their story is well off. So you know, so how they looked at it, it might be weird. You know what I mean? Who knows what makes them believe in the web and all that stuff? But
So, like you said for me, when
yeah,
you're
good.
ready, of course. Uh, for Mawasa, I don't know if you know the story of Superman,
Yeah, I know one version of Superman.
but there is countless of versions of how Superman started. So there's probably someone just wanted to make it more interesting, more intriguing. So I think the same happened with the story of the flood also, because of everybody, yeah, basically has been there. With time, someone will tell it because probably he heard that, yeah, the big mans of the old times,
Okay.
but what by saying the big man, he mean like the important people, and now he's telling that like the giants of old, they made a tower so big. If I
Okay.
don't know if I'm making sense, but I think it's something like that happened with this different variation of the same story.
Okay, so one stranger, so one philosopher just want to grab a little attention for himself, so and put a little twist to the story.
That's right. That's right.
All right then. And you know what? I'll add on to that. Okay, now with the film Halloween, originally the original director he made Halloween one, the Halloween a few years ago, and the Halloween that just came out this year. Those are the verified Halloweens. Those are the legitimate ones. But of course, as you know, there's been many versions of Halloween that have been made, not by that director. And as what Ira said, all of them, their beginnings are different. Even though that one director, he made the first Halloween in the early 80s, the one that came out a few years ago and the one that came out this year, those are legit ones. Don't you know what I mean? But if you look up the film Halloween, there's many versions of it done by other directors, done by other film makers, and their origins of it, the beginning of it, they're not they're not succinct with the first directors directed. They're not made how he wanted it, and of course, them ones go off. So the point being is, people have the original, they know what happened, but over time, it deviates. You know what I mean? One man adds on more. You know what I mean? And for some reason, he might want to make it exciting. You know what I mean? Or as generations go on, one person got it wrong or he didn't quite understand it, and just you know what I mean? Thought, well, I'll just say this. So you don't 100% know why some tribes have it so weird, back with the web and all that. But the point being is, if it's in their history, then somewhere along the line it happened, and then the only one many nations talk about it too. That's the point that you want. You know what I mean? Who knows about the web part and all that? Of course, that's nowhere in the Bible. But what you do know is they acknowledge that what they were doing upset God, and God divided their languages. That's what you want. All right, let me screen share that again. All right. So we read about Tanzania. Um, all right. Traces of a somewhat similar story have also been reported among the Tharus of Nepal and northern India, as well as the Kavi and the Akuki, the people of Assam, the traditions of the Karen people of Myanmar, which Fraser considered to show clear Abrahamic influence, also relate that their ancestors migrated there following the abandoned and great propaganda of the Karenni 30 generations from Adam, when the languages were confused and the Karen separated from the Akar Irene. So meaning this tribe, they're saying that they got there after the Tower of Babel. That's what they claim. You know what I mean? Don't believe it just because that's what they said. But the point being is they acknowledge the Tower of Babel, and they believe where they are now in Myanmar, they believe their descendants have been there from the Tower of Babel. You know what I mean? He notes yet another version currently in the Admiralty Islands where humankind's languages are confused following a failed attempt to build houses to reach heaven. So even among the Admiralty Islands, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna find out where the Admiralty Islands are, and we will find out. So so you definitely want to jot these things down. So if someone comes at you with the Bible being a lie, they got some answering to do. So let's get Admiralty Islands. Let's see what that is. Admiralty Islands. Okay, that is. Okay, Admiralty Islands. Okay, Admiralty Islands is on the west coast of America. It's just on the outskirts of the west coast of America. So the indigenous people of those islands, they talk about a tower, and because of their failed attempt to reach the heaven, God confused their languages. Let me put it back on screen share. Okay, so back on the screen share. There have also been a number of traditions around the world that describe a divine confusion of the one original language into several, albeit without any tower. So let's get into another side of it. There's some empires, they do talk about, a divine confusion, meaning it's divine, meaning it came from God, but they don't mention a tower.
Salaki, sir,
Yeah.
did you find the island you was
Um,
looking for?
oh, you want to see the island? Okay, let me get it for you.
I was
Oh, you were looking
uh,
for Admiralty Islands. Okay, let me get Admiralty Islands for you. Okay, let me stop here for that. Oh, no, my apologies. Admiralty Island is north of Africa, so the other place will show me shops. That's not what I mean.
Share the screen now.
I've got it. Right, so let me get a picture up there. Right, it's a screen share. Okay, so these are the Admiralty Islands here. So where that red lining is, so that's a Papua New Guinea. So it's
So
just
like I said, can't you make the whole page
let me
the
see
screen?
whether that's full screen or not. I must just visit the website. Okay, so that's right there. On the right, big screen. There it is there. So that's the Admiral Island. So all these islands here, just above Papua New Guinea, Africa. So it's just
And
those
the people
islands.
from there also have the story of Babel.
Yes, which is which is the point it's making. Meaning, what they're trying to show you that this had to have happened because it's in so many people's history. Something that's a myth. Why would everyone talk about it?
Mm.
Everyone's talking about a myth. Nah,
Yeah.
people talk about history. In everyone's history, people got events. Is what is the whole point of this? So
Mm.
even on small islands, explorers have gone there. They've spoke to them. You know what I mean? Trying to understand their origins, trying to understand their history, and even they acknowledge that, damn, these people talk about, you know what I mean? After a flood, man tried to build a tower, and God confounded their languages, showing you that what if it's all over the earth, everyone speaks about it, then this had to have had been a real life event. So
That's
all
right,
these
sir.
that's a myth.
And
All these
both the flood, Salaga,
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
and there is both the flood and the tower. Because
Yeah,
many of them they say after the flood this happened.
there you
Of
go.
course, the Mexicans, yeah, they probably they should know about it because they was there with Moses also. So they definitely would know about it. But like the Romans who came many years after Moses, they also, yeah, they has been told this story and they run with it also.
Yeah. So the point being is these events had to happen if every nation writes about it in all
Mm,
their ancient history. I'm not talking their modern history now, where many of them don't believe in the Bible, but in their ancient history, they all spoke about a similar account. Whether you know what I mean, some emphasize more on one thing than the other, but the point being is every nation spoke about these events. And let me
mm.
get some more. All right then. I'll read that part again. So there have also been a number of traditions around the world that describe the divine confusion of one original language into several, albeit without any tower. So there's some nations. They talk about the confusing of the languages, but they don't talk about a tower. Now, that doesn't take away from the Bible because we've read numerous accounts where they talk about a tower and confusing of the languages. So in some, African tribes or some Indian tribes or in some ancient history, they talk about the confusing of the language, but they don't talk about the tower. Reading on. Aside from ancient Greek myth that Hermes confused the languages, causing Zeus to give him a throne to Phoenius, Fraser specifically mentioned such accounts among the Wasania of Kenya, the Kakar Nagar people of Assam, the inhabitants of Encounter Bay in Australia, the Maidu of California, and the Tlingit of Alaska, and the Apache of Guatemala. The Estonian myth of the cooking of languages has also been compared. According to one modern legend, Sak was the last word uttered before the confusion of languages. So now these are people, they believe in the confusion of languages, but in their account, a tower isn't mentioned. So let me ask you a question. Does that mean the Bible's wrong?
No.
Allah answer.
So how would you counteract someone who's saying the Bible's wrong? Because every nation, some of them, they agree with the confusing the languages, but there wasn't a tower there.
Salaki, sir.
Yep.
Because we have used much precepts to show the fundamental stage of where that story came from. But when you go off into the history of other nations, you can say, how can you cook a language? Number one, that don't
True.
make no sense. Number two, they are gonna pile up dirt on top of dirt to go into heaven. That don't make no sense. Number three, another people say their leader jump off into heaven. That don't make no sense. So you can see from there, every philosopher is just come in and take a little piece and try to put themselves into the history book to say, okay, this is what my account of what happened. That don't add
There
up
you
none at all.
go. Or, or you had some more. Sorry, I'm gonna cut you.
Say that again.
Oh, sorry, I was saying if you had any more, they wanted to add on to.
Yeah, because with every if you travel to 10 different countries and ask the same question, everybody have 10 different stories, and it all veered off into with something else, way off from where the original of the story came.
Absolutely. So what you said, it was heavy. Of course, if you go to 10 different countries, people got 10 different accounts. But what you can do is use the base of it. Just use the fundamentals, a tower, confounding languages after a flood. Those things you can use. So you don't need to believe in everything they say, but just use the fundamentals of it. Now listen, they believe in like what the Bible says in regards of confusing the languages. Of course, as what Trooper Mawasar said, you know what I mean? They've added their mythology and things onto it. But the core argument for you to show that the Bible is a history book is right there.
That's
Um,
right.
Ira, you had something as well?
No, la answer. Yeah, mostly when I'm in a discussion with people who saying that the Bible is not true, I just remind them that we in the year 2021 after the birth of Jesus.
It's true. So someone believes it if they're going by time like that. So
Yeah, if we count our years based on on the Lord, so there means there's definitely something with that book. So yeah,
absolutely. Now This is what I'm gonna do. There's a word called perspective. We're gonna break it down right what it means, and all these other nations that are talking about a flood. This word, it basically will sum it up into why they may not 100% agree with what the Bible's saying. So I'll read it from here. So this is perspective. This is the definition of perspective. So perspective is a Greek word, as you can see, perspective. The art of representing three-dimensional objects on a two-dimensional surface as to give the right impression of height, width, or position. That's not what we're looking for. Number two is what we need. A particular attitude towards or way of regarding something, a point of view. And that's what perspective is. It's how you look at it. So in these other empires, they may not mention a tower because their perspective, the tower probably didn't mean anything to them. What mattered the most was the languages. While as for some people, the tower and the languages meant something. While as for some people, just they angered God, that meant something. And that's something that you have to understand is that perspective is a big thing because that's how someone looks at it. That's their point of view. So if they're taking it to their nation, how they look at it, that's how they're gonna jot that history down. What is important to them, they're gonna let that be known. And if something's important to you, but it's not important to me, in my perspective, it's gonna look this way. While as in your perspective, you're gonna add on more. So perspective is just simply how an individual it's how an individual looks on something. Like your perspective and mine ain't the same. Your perspective, you may be a very detailed man. My perspective is just rough. Yeah, it's you know what I mean. 1, 2, 3, done. Your perspective is he came through, he was angry, he turned the light up. Mine just he came through, he turned the light up, done. It doesn't mean we're both wrong. It just means that you you look at it in a very specific way. Mine is just in general. How I look at it, 1, 2, okay, done. So it doesn't mean that the Bible's wrong. Their accounts, that's their perspective, where some cared about the tower, some didn't. Some focused on angering God, some didn't. Some spoke about the flood, but they didn't see it as a big deal. They thought the confusing of the languages meant more, and that's what it is. A lot of it just comes down to perspective on what they thought mattered to them, as to other things that they didn't really find significant, is what it all comes down to. Just perspective. You know what I mean? Um, so we got the definition of perspective. Uh, Second, let's see if we've got any more history. Let's check my notes. Just gonna bring it all out. Got 20 minutes left. If anyone has any questions online, do feel free to answer. All right. Let's get my notes out. Right. So we're gonna get into another way how the Most High divides nations. It's called racism. Now, what a lot of people don't know is racism goes back very far. Even in ancient empires, nations had thoughts and ideologies about another people that lived around them, and that's what divided them. So we'll get the first one for you. Okay. All right. Someone can give me Ecclesiasticus. That'll be in the Apocrypha. Let me get it for you
What
here.
chapter?
I'm gonna get it for you in a second. All right. It'll be. No, it's not it. Trade. One second. All right. Ecclesiasticus the 33, and I believe it's 11. Yeah, Ecclesiasticus 33, but you can start from verse 10 just to set the scene.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 33 and verse 10. And all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth.
Uh-huh.
And much knowledge the Lord hath divided them, and made their ways diverse.
So what's the Bible talking about? Meaning all of us come from Adam. Now, when it says from the earth, we know in Genesis that you mean when Adam was from the ground, it's talking about the state that he was in. But in this context right here, you can ask anyone inside us. There's what aluminium and many minerals of the ground. So here, yes, inside our body, we are from the ground, meaning what we have certain compounds of the ground. You can ask anyone about the human body. There's zinc in humans, aluminium in humans. But what's the point here? Saying that even though we come from Adam, the Lord has divided us and made our ways diverse. Does anyone know what the word diverse means?
Cancer.
What does diverse mean?
It basically goes in different ethnicities, sir.
There you go. So, okay, you're right. Diverse means different. Something is diverse, it's different. Meaning, the Lord divided man by what? Making us different, man. I mean, that's the easiest way. One nation likes this, another nation likes that. That's going to divide you. Along with having your own land, your mannerisms are different, man. Black people like loud music. White people hate loud music, man. What a white man calls loud, what a white man calls loud, you mean we like that's not loud? Now, of course, I'm speaking in general here. I'm not saying every single black person likes loud music. Of course, that would be a lie. But I'm speaking in general here. As a nation, for us to call something loud, it really must be loud. But for a white person, any little thing that's loud, man, you know what I mean? Why? Because we are diverse. You know what I mean? Our mannerisms, what we like in opposition to what they like. You know what I mean? And that's how the Lord divides man too, by making us diverse. Read on.
Come. Verse 12. Some of them that had he blessed and exalted,
All
and
right.
some of them
No sweat. So now, in dividing man, some have he blessed and exalted. So let me ask you a question. Who has the Lord blessed and exalted?
Yasha Allah, sir.
Give that hand, man. That's what you want right there, man. The Lord blessed the Israelites, meaning what? We're different. And there's one nation he made different by blessing them and exalting them. And that's blacks, Hispanics. and native Indians. Reader.
And some of them had he sanctified, and sat near him.
Hmm.
But some of them had he cursed and brought low,
And
and
there you
turned out of their place.
and there you go. Some of them have he cursed and brought low and turned them out of their place. Who is that? The Canaanites, the Hittites, the Jebusites. We kicked them out of their land, man. They're the people that are brought out of their place. They're living in South Africa right now, man. You know what I mean? So the Lord's saying some nations he blesses, some nations he curses, man. Showing you what there is a division and diversity in mankind. We're not all the same, nor are we meant to be the same. That is not the plan of God. You know what I mean? That's why God gave different nations different mannerisms, different things that collectively they like, and collectively things that they don't like, in opposition to what we like, so that what we stay divided. We can do the business, trade, but as a whole, we cannot mix with it because there's things that we like and there's things that they do not like. And that's meant to keep us apart even more than just landmass, that we're two different people in everything. You know what I mean? All right. Any more on that?
Verse 13. As the clay is in the potter's hand, to fashion it at his pleasure, so man is in the hand of him that made him, to
So what's the
render.
So what's the point of that? Meaning, look at the analogy. So as the clay is in the potter's hand, so meaning, imagine you're making a vase. Your hands make the vase how you want to, man. Remember, it's in your hands. You have the power to make it how you want it to look. And likewise, man is in the Lord's hands. Meaning what? The Lord fashions man how he wants to. That a nation that like this and like that, the Lord made them like it. Blacks and Hispanics we like our gold, we like certain things. That's how the Lord made us, man. And even in our poverty, we still like them things, man. Some people ain't got a pound in their pocket, but they found a nice gold chamber. You know what I mean? Why? Because that's how the Lord wants us, man. The Lord, He makes the nations how He wants to. He makes their mannerisms how He sees fit. They're in His hand. Reader.
To render to them as liked him best.
There you go. So the Lord gives to these nations as He likes best. So what land they get, the Lord gave them that. Their mannerisms, the Lord gave them that. What He deems best, that's what they will get. That's what these nations will get. All right. So let's get into the history aspect to that. Okay. So this is. Can everyone see this, or do we need to zoom in?
Hold on, I'm making a camera, man.
Right, I'll zoom in.
Salaki, sir, I think you should make the
Yes,
when
I
you
just
when you share the screen make the whole
Oh, the whole screen.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's
like this yeah, it's more
okay.
like it.
But I'll know for next time, most definitely. All right, so this is racism here from the Wikipedia. So let's get a basic understanding of racism. So, racism is the belief that groups of humans possess different behavioral traits corresponding to inherited attributes and can be divided based upon superiority of one race over another. And that's the Bible right there. We just read it in Ecclesiasticus 33 and 11. Some nations have been blessed, and that's us, man. And what is racism? A group of humans possess different behavioral traits corresponding to inherited attributes. Inherit is what is passed down. You know what I mean? So meaning, you mean naturally their traits are better than yours is what racism is. You believe, what you have is better than theirs. And let me tell you something. If you're black, Hispanic, Native Indian, what you possess is better than all these nations, man.
That's right.
What 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 the Lord gave to you by inheritance is better than what all these nations got,
Right.
and can be divided based on superiority of one race over another. So meaning what you got makes you better than another race. What is inherently yours is superior than another race. And that's what God gave us, man. God gave us superiority over all nations on the face of the earth. That's in the
Right.
Bible. Get that for me. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. We'll get back to this. Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
The book of Deuteronomy 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Listen, that is racism right there. God said, you're separate, and I have chosen you to be above all people that are on the face of the earth. Meaning what? The Lord gave you superiority over all nations on the face of the earth. Man. You are above him. That is what you will call racism. And it's not racism from us. That's how God wanted it, man. God wanted one nation to rule all these other nations and to be above him. And it happens to be blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And let's get back into the definition. Right, okay, getting the hang of it now. All right. It may also mean prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against other people because they are of a different race or ethnicity. Modern variants of racism are often based on social perceptions of biological difference between peoples. So, what are the same meaning? The racism you see now, that's based on a social perceptions, meaning what you see on the internet, not based on what you know of a person or what you see of a person. A lot of racism that you experience today, that is social perception, meaning what is shown on the TV. Like in America, there's a show called Cops. If anyone has watched it before, and on that show, they done a documentary on that show, and they go that show is the reason why there's a lot of racism against blacks and Hispanics in America. Because on this show, Cops, they keep on arresting blacks and Hispanics. So, you know, mean there are things in life that are used as propaganda. All you're seeing is, police chasing blacks and Hispanics. Meanwhile, in comparison to all of America, you mean we are the least. But because you're watching it through their lens, they're making it seem like, listen, those people are bad. Look at that show, Cops. They're always arresting those people. And that's a social perception right there. These views can take form of social action, practice or beliefs, or political systems in which different races are ranked as inherently superior or inferior to each other based upon presumed shared inherited traits, abilities, or qualities. So meaning, because of how you look at them, you start to put them on a ranking system like that race is bad, that race is good. And what you'll understand is in these last days, white people have put themselves on top by what? Based on Hollywood, based on all the films where they're the hero, they're the nice person, Red Cross, Oxfam. You know what I mean? In this world, white people are put up as the nicest, most greatest people. Why? Because through watching them all the time, everyone in the world believes they are the best people on the face of the earth. And of course, they make blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians seem like the worst people on the face of the earth. And now those things are not done by accident. Those things are by design. And on a lot of these films, the black guy is just a bad guy. Or if he's not bad, he's dumb. All he wants to do is sing and dance all day.
Mama.
That, that's not an accident. Meaning,
Mm.
a director, his belief, he's putting that in the film. Remember, a film has a director, and that
Mm.
director's beliefs, they're being pushed in that film. So in his mind, he believes no, either black people are evil or black people are dumb. And in that
Mm.
film, while he's the director, that's what he's going to project. And
That's right, sir.
then by people watching that over the earth, they start to formulate that belief too. Nah, man, you know what I mean? Gosh,
Mm.
either they're evil or they're just dumb. If it's not singing and dancing, then it's this and that. And you know when those things are not an accident. Those, you know what I mean? How people perceive blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, that is by design, by your shows, Cops being one of them. You know what I mean? Many shows where even if a brother ain't doing something bad, they portray him as dumb or just someone who, just doesn't know nothing or just a nerd or, you know what I mean? Like from one extreme to the other. And those things are not done by accident. Those things are by design to make the world view blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in a bad light. And that's what they're doing.
Right.
So, of course, in the
Those devil
community,
has a agenda, sir.
there you go. That's the more better word, a agenda. It's not an accident. That is a agenda. What you mean when you, me, or anyone online experiences racism? Just know that, you know what I mean? That's by design. If all you show is me being the bad guy, being the thief, being involved in knife crime, then what are people going to think about me? Meanwhile, in England specifically, black people are only 3%. So how can 3% be behind all of the knife crime? How can 3% be behind all of the drug dealing in England? Because we're not. But if that's how you want to look at me, in your films, in your documentaries, you will make it seem that way. And then by you making those films and documentaries, you influence others. And that's what happens now, man. You know what I mean?
So
So,
like you said.
yeah, go ahead.
And meanwhile, in real life, they are the descendants of murderers and thieves that stole whole country. They murdered a whole country and stole people's identity and all of that. And now you're trying to portray me as the bad guy.
There you go, man. What you
That's
said is
agenda.
so right. That's the agenda. You're a thief. If a white man is in America now, he's a thief, man. Killed millions of Native Indians. 90 million, I believe. You know what I mean? I've got books that go into it. And you're on the land and then portray the people on the land to be bad. Native Indians are bad, man. Those blacks and Hispanics. Meanwhile, you're directing a film on stolen land. It's not yours.
Mhm.
And that's what they do, man. I mean, that is mind controlled right there, where you don't think about what they do, but they make sure your mind is controlled onto something else. It's never them.
Right.
They're never the bad guy. You are, we are, and that is racism right there, man. But they put themselves on the top and give another nation which you should blame and which you and which you mean all nations should look down upon. So that's the class. I mean, I enjoyed this class. I mean, enjoyed it with the Akim, Mawasara, and Trooper Ira. Excellent seeing you, brothers, again as well, man. You know what I mean?
Same here, sir.
Lord
You
be
with you, sir?
with you. Lord be with you. And you know what I mean? Next week, Lord allow Officer Karafia, he'll be back doing the Monday history class. But with that, you know what I mean? Up until next week, right? So I'm gonna do the salute, men of Israel. I Madiam. I Madiam.
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakathon. Yeah, the top. Class dismissed.